and welcome in another sewing tutorial. I'm Laura and I'm the creator and maker behind the brand Earthbound. It's a rainy day here in Perth, so perfect weather to make a long toweling pant. I will be using the Luna Pants pattern, but you can use this pattern with way many more fabrics than just towels. You can also make like a pajama pants out of flannel or a beach pants out of linen with this pattern, so endless possibilities, and I can't wait to take you with me. So here is everything you need to make the Luna Pants. Of course you need the Luna Pants pattern, small scissors, fabric scissors, a measuring tape, a seam ripper, 2 safety pins. I like to use weights to place on my pattern when I cut out the fabric, some infusible interfacing, pins and clips, matching sewing thread and elastic. Because we are working with towels, I also like to use 100% natural cotton for the upper pocket, because then it's not so bulky around the waist. And of course you will need towels. All info around towels, like thickness of the towels, the measurement of the towels and how many towels, is written down in the instruction booklet. It also depends on which design and which size, how many towels you need. So for every size I wrote down how many towels you need. In this tutorial I will also show you how you can reuse the edges of the towel to make your waistband. So it's important that you cut out the edges and have about a ½ centimeter to a centimeter fluff. So this is how it looks like. So this is the towel edge. So I make sure I have about a ½ centimeter to a centimeter fluff still on my edge of the towel, so we can use this as seam allowance. And we don't need the edges of the long side of the towel like with the towel dress, so you can leave them on the towel, and we repeat the same step with our other towel. So the first step we do is ironing or interfacing on the wrong side of the pocket. And we also iron our stabilizer on the wrong side of the front panels. We iron our interfacing on the pocket opening. It's an important step because it keeps the pocket opening from stretching. So now we place the front panels with the right side facing us, and then we take the upper pocket with the right side facing towards the front panel. And we do the same with the other pocket. And then we pin it into place. And now we sew along the pocket opening on a ½ centimeter seam allowance. And then we cut the excess fabric. Now you press the seam allowance towards the pocket back. So now you will sew an understitch. So you will sew the seam onto the upper pocket. So now the seam is sewn onto the upper pocket. Now we turn the upper pocket towards the inside and we press it flat. We will finish with a top stitch and we sew on 1 centimeter of the edge. There are 2 ways to sew the upper pocket and the lower pocket together. If you have an overlocker, you face the upper pocket with the good side towards us and place the lower pocket with the good sides towards the upper pocket. And then you can sew on 1 centimeter seam allowance and overlock the row edge. If you don't have an overlocker, you can finish the pocket with a French seam, and that's what I will show you in this tutorial. So you start by facing the wrong side of the upper pocket towards you, and you place the wrong side of the lower pocket towards the upper pocket, like this. And then you pin everything into place. And then you sew on a 1/2 centimeter seam allowance. The next step is cutting off the excess fabric. And turn the pocket inside out. And now we will press it flat with the iron. So now we will finish off the pocket with a top stitch along the curved edge to fully encase the row edge. so. And now we are ready to sew the pocket into place. We will sew along the side seam and we sew the pocket into place along the waist on a 1/2 centimeter seam allowance. The next step is placing the front panel with the good side facing towards us. And then we place the back panel with the good side facing towards the front panel. And we make sure the side seams are aligned. And then I pin everything into place. Like this, and now we do the same with the other side. And then we will sew along the side seam on 1 centimeter seam allowance, and then we will use the zigzag stitch or the overlock machine to finish off the row edge. It's time to assemble both pant legs together. We place one pant leg with the good side facing towards us, and then we place the other pant leg facing with the good side towards the other pant leg, so the good sides are facing each other. And it should be an exact mirror of each other. So the back rise is on one side and the front rise is on the other side. And then we pin everything or clip everything into place. So now we will sew on 1 centimeter seam allowance, and we do the same with the back rise. And then we will finish the row edge with a zigzag stitch or overlocking. so the pants is inside out. And now we can optional iron the seam to the left and finish it off with a top stitch. But with this towel pants, I will not do this. And we pin all the way around. And now we will sew on 1 cm seam allowance and finish the row edge with a zigzag stitch or overlocker. So this pants is designed to have an elastic waist. You can have elastic from 4 cm or 2 cm. It's up to you, it's personal preference, but I do recommend using non-roll elastic, and you can recognize it on the ribbed texture. Now it's time to attach the waistband to your pants, and normally you have cut out this pattern. You can cut this pattern out of the same towels, or you can use a different material. I will show you in this tutorial how to reuse the edges of the towel to make your waistband. All you need is 4 edges of the towel, and I think it's a really fun project to minimize waste. So we start by cutting off the ends of the edges of the towel. This one is done. And I use the side with the ball to go underneath the stitch, and then I push my seam ripper forward and pull my edge of the towel towards me. And this should go very smooth, like this. And I repeat this with the other 3 towel edges. So now we will press the edge of the towel open. And now we will place the 2 pieces on top of each other with the right sides facing each other. And then we pin or clip it into place. And now we will sew on 1 cm seam allowance. And now we press open the seam. And then we place right side on right side. And then we make sure the seam is nice lined up. And then we pin it into place. And we sew on 1 centimeter seam allowance. Now we press the seam open and we fold it in half. Then you take your waistband and you fold on your seam, and then you place it on your pattern with fold on the fold sign. And I am making size small, so I will cut off on the line small. So if you cut out this pattern out your fabric, or you make your waistband out of the edges of the towel, you should both end up with a piece like this. And now we have to place the right side, so the 2 edges, and right side on top of right side. We pin it into place. And we sew on 1 centimeter seam allowance. So now we have our waistband and our pants, and we start by turning our pants to the right side. The right side of the pants is facing us, and we use the right side of the waistband, so with the opening facing to the top. And you want the side seam to be lined up with the side seam of your pants, and then you pin this into place. And we do the same with the other side. So you want the side seam to be lined up with the side seam. And then we pin everything into place. In this tutorial I'll use the elastic of 2 centimeters, so I make sure this will fit. And I will sew on 1 centimeter seam allowance here. I will start in the back, and I will leave about 5 centimeters gap between the start and the finish. So here you can see I leave about 5 centimeter opening so we can place our elastic in our waistband. If needed, you can trim some excess fabric off. I use 2 safety pins on both ends of my elastic. And I will pin this one in here. So now I remove the safety pins. And I will overlap the elastic with 1 centimeter and pin or clip it into place. And now we will go over the elastic with a zigzag stitch. I use a wide zigzag stitch and use a wide length. Hey, it's me from the future. Whilst editing this YouTube tutorial, I realized my microphone went on mute, so I will do a voiceover for the rest of the tutorial. So once we've sewn the elastic together, we make sure it's nice and straight in the waistband, so it's not twisted around. And we will close the gap the same way we sew on the waistband to our pants. As you can see, I lock the stitch at the start and then I gently stretch the elastic out. This keeps the fabric smooth and flat and it prevents the fabric from bunching up and ensure you don't accidentally catch any extra layers in your stitch. So make sure you lock your stitch at the beginning and at the end. So the next step is cutting off all excess fabric and then you can zigzag stitch or overlock the row edge. Here I'm cutting off the excess fabric with the overlocker. And I also attach my sewing label to the back center seam. Again, I stretch the elastic out to keep the fabric smooth and flat, but be careful not to pull too hard. Let the feed dogs guide the fabric through naturally. This prevents the fabric from bunching up and make sure you don't accidentally catch any extra layers in your overlock. If you are finishing your seam with a zigzag stitch on a regular sewing machine, you can simply lock your stitch at the end and you are done. When you are finishing your seam with an overlocker like me, I always leave a thread tail about 5 to 10 centimeters. I will use this to secure the end by hand so the overlocker seam doesn't fray. Grab a needle with a slightly larger eye, thread your tail through it and weave it about 2 centimeters back under the overlocked seam. Be careful not to push the needle all the way through to the back panel. You want it hidden inside the seam. To finish off the waistband, I add a few rows of top stitching. Start by measuring the width of your waistband. Mine is 3 centimeters. I'm doing 3 rows, and so on a half centimeter of the edge. Mark your lines if needed and then lock your stitch and set your machine to a slightly longer stitch length. As you sew, gently stretch the elastic out. Just as before, don't pull or hold the fabric towards you. Let the feed dogs guide it through naturally for a smooth, even result. Here I'm locking my stitch and I move to the next top stitch and I use my previous top stitch as guideline. And I repeat this for all 3 rows of top stitching. So the last step is hemming in your pants. So I recommend wearing your pants and see how much you need to cut off. For the hem allowance, I like to fold twice my hem. So 1 and 2. So I need 4 centimeter hem allowance. But if you like to overlock the row edge and just fold it in once, then you need 2 centimeter hem allowance. So depending of your length, and then you add 2 or 4 centimeters. So in this example, I fold twice, so 2 centimeter and then another 2 centimeters, and I clip everything into place. And I repeat that for the 2 legs. The final step is sewing the leg hems. Press each leg hem with an iron first to get it a crisp, clean fold, then top stitch as close to the edge as possible for a neat and professional look.